The day began like any other on Earth. People were driving to work, drinking coffee, and checking their messages. In the skies above, satellites spun quietly, broadcasting news, music, and weather reports. Children laughed in playgrounds. Farmers checked crops. Soldiers in bases trained for normal threats, small wars, local emergencies, maybe a rogue nation here or there. No one expected the sky to open that morning. No one was ready for the message that arrived without warning, without a sound, and without a single human missile being fired. At exactly 9:03 a.m., the world's sky screens those massive digital billboards in Times Square, floating ads above Los Angeles, the city walls of Tokyo, the communication hubs in Nairobi all flashed the same symbol, a cold silver spiral spinning against a black background. Phones buzzed, computers locked, and personal devices froze. Across every continent, humanity stopped what it was doing to stare at the symbol no one recognized. Fear grew as the spiral rotated faster, then slower, then stopped completely. And then came the voice. It was not a human voice. It was not male, female, young, or old. It was something entirely alien. The voice was sharp and cold, but also smooth like polished metal scraping across glass. It spoke in perfect English, but it did not breathe between words. Didn't have to. We are the Verlax Dominion. For 10,000 cycles, we have ruled the outer stars. We have harvested tribute from 500,000 species. We now speak to Earth. The message was broadcast directly into the minds of every human, bypassing all technology. Even people with no screens heard it, as if the words were planted directly into their thoughts. Fear rolled through the population like a silent wave. People dropped their coffee cups. Drivers pulled to the side of the road, trembling. Military leaders in underground bunkers felt their blood run cold. You will send tribute, the voice continued. 1/3 of your planet's resources, with 1/5 of your population for genetic harvesting, all data regarding your science and technology. You have 7 days. It's a pause. The spiral on the screens turned blood red. If you refuse, we will erase your world. The message ended. The spiral vanished. The sky returned to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. In Earth's defense headquarters, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Sarah Reeves stood at the front of the command room. Her face was calm, but her mind raced faster than any computer in the room. She had trained for war. She had trained for first contact with alien life. But this was something else. The Verlax Dominion wasn't just another civilization. According to ancient alien records that humanity had only recently uncovered, the Verlax had ruled parts of the galaxy for millennia. They were part machine, part biological overlords, consuming new species, demanding tribute, and wiping out civilizations that said no. Reeves stared at the giant star map in front of her. A red wave of alien ships was already visible at the edge of the solar system. Probes showed massive fleets assembling just beyond Pluto. The Verlax had not sent a diplomat or a scout ship. They had sent an army in the room. Earth's top scientists, generals, and politicians argued. Some shouted for surrender. Others begged for time to negotiate. A few talked about building underground bunkers to survive what was coming. But Reeves remained silent, thinking. She knew the real decision was not about military strength. Earth was advanced, yes. They had stealth drones, orbital cannons, and the Genesis Protocol, a dangerous last resort weapon that could twist the laws of physics. But the Verlax had technologies beyond anything humans had seen. They had gravity crushers, time dilation fields, and living AI minds that could predict enemy moves before they happened. No one had ever beaten them in battle. And yet, Admiral Reeves remembered the ancient words she had read from other civilizations' hidden records. All of them described the same thing. The Verlax demanded tribute. Always tribute. And always. The same outcome: fear, submission, and slow death under the Empire's rule. The worst part wasn't the destruction of worlds. It was the way the Verlax turned proud civilizations into permanent slaves, draining them until nothing was left. Reeves looked at the leaders in the room. She thought about humanity, not perfect, but fierce, creative, stubborn. Now, Earth would become another name on the list of conquered species. Another tool in the Verlax machine. Humanity's spirit would be erased. She stood up straight, smoothing her uniform. The room fell silent. "We will not send tribute," she said calmly. A scientist gasped. A general's face turned pale. President of Earth's United Council looked at Reeves with wide eyes. "Admiral, think carefully," the president whispered. "They have the power to crush us." Reeves nodded once. "I know. If we kneel now, we'll never stand again." She ordered the communications officer to open a direct channel to the Verlax fleet. The officer hesitated but obeyed. Screen filled with the same spiral symbol, now pulsing slowly like a mechanical heart. The alien voice returned, cold and patient. "Earth, do you have an answer?" Reeves stared into the camera. Her voice was steady, controlled, clear. "Yes." She said, "Our answer is no." She cut the transmission before the Verlax could respond. The room remained silent for several seconds. No one moved. Outside, Earth's skies were quiet. The sun still shined. But somewhere in the darkness beyond the solar system, the Verlax fleet began to shift. Weapons activated. Engines roared. In the vast blackness of space, thousands of warships turned toward Earth, faster than any comet, deadlier than any known force. But something else happened, to something the Verlax didn't expect. Across the galaxy, on distant worlds enslaved, for centuries, the message from Earth echoed through secret channels. The word no was whispered in underground bunkers, in mining camps, and in the minds of rebels who had long given up hope. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had refused the Verlax, and that one word would change everything. The word no traveled faster than light. It wasn't just a reply. It became a shockwave. On thousands of planets, species that had long ago given up hope heard Earth's answer to the Verlax dominion. The word spread through secret rebel channels, encrypted signals, and even whispers in slave camps. For most civilizations, the Verlax were like nature itself unbeatable, eternal, like gravity or time. They had ruled for so long that no one remembered freedom. For 10,000 years, the pattern had always been the same: tribute, submission, silence. Until now, in the cold depths of space, in regions forgotten by maps, oppressed species lifted their heads. On the Valari homeworld, miners trapped in acid pits passed the message hand to hand, believing it was a trick. On the frozen moons of the Dravari, former warriors forced into labor stopped working for a moment, listening to the signal. On the underwater cities of Theraxis, where the Verlax had long harvested genetic material, scientists risked their lives to hear Earth's broadcast again and again. The word was simple, but it was like an earthquake in the mind, shattered the old belief that no one could fight back. Back on Earth, Admiral Reeves stood quietly in the Defense Command Center, reading the early reports. It had been only hours since she said no to the Verlax ultimatum, but already, small rebel groups from across the galaxy were sending encrypted messages to Earth. Some begged for help. Some offered weapons, information, or secret codes stolen from the Verlax networks. A few simply sent thanks, knowing they might be punished if caught. But choosing to risk it anyway, human intelligence teams worked non-stop to read the incoming data. The information was overwhelming: star maps showing hidden Verlax bases, files describing their time dilation weapons, even partial blueprints of the Verlax command structures. Earth's scientists had never seen anything like this. Before now, the galaxy's true political map had been invisible. The Verlax had controlled the flow of information so tightly that no species knew how large their empire really was. Now, the pieces were coming together. But along with the rebel messages came warnings. The Verlax were not just preparing for war, they were preparing for eradication. Their fleets were not coming to conquer Earth. They were coming to remove Earth's DNA from the universe itself. The Verlax had developed something called the null wave, type of biofrequency weapon that could erase a species' genetic signature from existence. Not just kill humans physically, but wipe out the pattern of humanity at the deepest level, removing all traces from the galaxy. No fossils, no cells, no memory. It was as if they wanted to make sure humanity never existed at all. Admiral Reeves shared this terrible information with the Earth United Council. Some leaders panicked. Some collapsed into silence, unable to imagine a response. But Reeves stayed focused. She knew that the Verlax were afraid. Their hunger for tribute was not just about power, it was about survival. The rebel data showed why. The Verlax weren't fully alive anymore. Over centuries, they had merged with machine systems, copying their minds into artificial networks, replacing bodies with synthetic parts. But the cost was terrible. Their code was rotting. They needed fresh genetic material from other species to keep their systems stable. Doubt. Tribute. The Verlax would slowly collapse from within. Earth's refusal threatened not just their pride, but their existence. And now, the Verlax high mind, their central control network, had made its decision. They would strike Earth with everything they had. Humanity had 6 days. In orbit, Earth's defense platforms came online. Project Aegis, the most advanced defense system ever created by humans, activated its global shield network. Giant satellites launched drones the size of fighter jets, each armed with stealth fields and gravity pulse weapons. Quantum cannons were positioned around the moon. Earth's military leaders checked and rechecked. The Genesis Protocol, a last resort device that could shift space-time itself. But no one knew if it would work without destroying the solar system. Meanwhile, on distant planets, something unexpected began to happen. The oppressed species didn't just watch in silence. Small rebellions started. On Valerian 4, rebel miners sabotaged Verlax supply ships. On Drava 9, an entire Verlax slave station went dark after the workers overwhelmed their guards. The Seern Collective, a group of machine-organic hybrids who had been forced into silence for centuries, began to awaken ancient memory files. They found encrypted recordings of previous species that had resisted the Verlax species that had been erased before, but now those voices spoke again through the rebel channels. For the first time, the galaxy's oppressed species were connecting. The word no had become a virus of hope. It's impossible to stop, but hope alone wouldn't stop the fleet. Prometheus. Earth's AI defense system ran simulations at incredible speed. It analyzed every possible outcome. In 99.7% of scenarios, Earth was destroyed. In the remaining 0.3%, humanity survived, but only by using technology that had never been tested before. The Genesis Protocol was one of these options. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was an energy ripple that could change the rules of physics within a local area. Time could slow, space could fold. Even Verlax neural fields could be disrupted. But if the Genesis wave malfunctioned, it could collapse Earth into a singularity. Black hole. Admiral Reeves gathered her top scientists and commanders. They had 6 days to prepare. 6 days to finish the Genesis Protocol, activate Project Aegis, find a way to locate the Verlax high mind, the system controlling the entire Verlax fleet. In secret, Earth's stealth probes slipped past Verlax patrols, searching for clues. The probes scanned hidden sectors near the galactic core, looking for strange energy signatures, neural signals, and forbidden frequencies. They found something strange near a dead star, cluster a Dyson sphere, half complete, orbiting a collapsed sun. Inside, the probes detected Verlax signals so powerful they bent local space. It was possible this was the central AI nexus, the source of the Verlax command net. If humanity could strike the high mind, perhaps the entire Verlax fleet would fall apart. But Earth's scientists knew the risks. The Verlax might have backup systems, or worse, they might have traps designed to trick rebellious species into attacking their core, only to trigger larger, galaxy-ending weapons. Still, there was no choice. Humanity had already said no. There was no way back. Admiral Reeves sent one final message to the rebel networks across the galaxy. It was short, simple, and broadcast in every known language. We have started something bigger than Earth. Together, we can finish it. In space, the Verlax fleet continued to move, faster than light, burning toward Earth like a red tide. 6 days remained. The countdown to the first galactic rebellion had truly begun. The days passed faster than anyone expected. Humanity had 6 days to prepare for the greatest threat it had ever faced. But time slipped through their fingers like sand in a storm. By the 4th day, Earth's orbit was filled with defense systems, stealth drones, and armed satellites. But even with all their technology, there was one thing they could not stop: the red wave. That's what the news networks called it. And soon the whole world knew the term. It wasn't just a fleet of ships. It was a wall of destruction, moving faster than anything in human history. The Verlax Armada covered the edge of the solar system like a bloodstain across the stars. People all over. Earth watched the sky at night and saw the strange red streaks appearing beyond the moon. Some thought it was an aurora. Others thought it was the atmosphere reacting to alien energy. But those who worked in military command centers knew the truth. The red wasn't natural. It was the light of the Verlax quantum engines, burning through space-time, leaving scars. Across reality itself, the sky wasn't just changing color, it was warning them. Inside Earth Defense Command, Admiral Reeves stood with her arms crossed, watching the holographic display. The Verlax fleet numbers were beyond belief. Thousands of warships, each the size of cities, were moving in formation. Some carried planetary drills. Others carried anti-life weapons that could shatter DNA. The largest ships were called world burners, capable of melting continents in hours. Humanity had faced wars before, but nothing like this. This was extermination on a galactic scale. Reeves didn't blink. She knew fear was useless now. Earth had chosen its path when it said no. There was no surrender, no retreat, no negotiation. The only question was whether humanity would fight like victims or fight like legends. Prometheus. Earth's defense AI ran endless calculations. It showed Reeves the same thing every time. Earth's weapons could slow the Verlax, maybe even damage their front lines. But in the end, the math was brutal. Verlax would win unless something unexpected happened. That something was the Genesis protocol, inside a secret underground lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, the best human. Scientists worked day and night to finish the device. It wasn't a weapon in the normal sense. It wasn't a missile or a laser. Genesis protocol was a reality anchor, a machine that could bend the fabric of space-time in a localized area. In theory, it could stop the Verlax from using their time dilation tech, break their neural nets, and force their AI to lose synchronization. But it was risky. The device used unstable particles, things that normal physics said shouldn't exist. If it failed, the Genesis protocol could trigger a black hole event, swallowing Earth and half the solar system in seconds. The scientists argued about it, in whispers, but they all knew the same truth. It was either this or extinction. On the 5th day, Earth's telescopes picked up a second horrifying discovery. The Verlax weren't just bringing warships, they were bringing the null wave. The null wave was not a weapon humanity could understand fully. It wasn't about bombs or lasers. It was about genetic erasure. The Verlax planned to remove human DNA from the universal pattern. If they succeeded, it would be as if humanity had never existed. No fossils, no remains, no history. Even the memories of humans stored in alien archives could be wiped away by memory virus clouds, part of the null wave system.
Oh, the Verlax wanted
to clean the galaxy, erase the rebellion before it could inspire others. But it was too late for that. Rebel messages continued to flood into Earth's systems. Across the galaxy, oppressed species prepared for their own small uprisings. Some were arming themselves, some were sabotaging Verlax machinery, or simply watching, waiting to see if humanity could survive the coming storm. Admiral Reeves held a private meeting with her top commanders. She looked at their tired faces. None of them had slept in days. They all knew what was coming. Reeves spoke quietly but clearly. "We can't just defend Earth," she said. "If we stay here, they'll surround us and crush us. We need to strike first." Her plan was dangerous. Instead of waiting for the Verlax to reach Earth orbit, she wanted to send Ghost Arks, Earth's stealth ships, straight into the heart of the Verlax fleet. The goal wasn't to destroy them, it was to plant disruption nodes, devices that could confuse Verlac's targeting systems, delay their attack patterns, and maybe, just maybe, give humanity a small window to launch the Genesis Protocol, the Ghost. ARC captains agreed. They knew it was a suicide mission. But they also knew history was watching. At dawn on the 6th day, the Ghost ARCs launched silently from Earth's orbit. No lights, no transmissions, just shadows moving through the void. ARC carried a team of specialists trained to hack into alien systems, plant quantum viruses, and extract data. Their mission wasn't just to delay the Verlax, it was to find the location of the Verlax High Mind. The central AI hub controlling the entire fleet. The best hope for survival wasn't to fight the Verlax ships directly, it was to strike the mind behind them. While the Ghost ARCs moved into position, Earth's civilians watched the skies. The red streaks in the atmosphere grew brighter, more intense. Some people prayed. Others held their families close. Some recorded final messages, just in case. But there was also something else strange. Unexpected calm. Humanity had chosen defiance. They were not going to beg for mercy. They had said no, and now they would face the consequences together. In the command center, Prometheus spoke softly to Admiral Reeves. "Admiral, the Verlax fleet will reach Earth orbit in 9 hours." Reeves nodded. Her heart was steady. She sent one final broadcast to the planet, her voice calm but fierce. "This is not the end of humanity. This is the beginning of something bigger. We don't fight today to survive. We fight to change the galaxy forever." Now the edge of the solar system, the Verlax fleet tightened its formation. Weapons powered up. Null-wave engines activated. Red lights burned through space like bleeding stars. The sky wasn't just turning red, but it was preparing for war. The 9th hour arrived, and with it came the war no human had ever imagined. The Verlax fleet crossed Neptune's orbit at speeds no Earth scientists thought possible. The laws of physics bent around them like soft clay. Space itself rippled behind their engines, leaving red scars across the stars. Humanity's defense systems picked up every movement, thousands of ships. It's perfectly coordinated, moving like one living machine. The sky wasn't just red anymore. It was alive with enemy signals, data streams, and invisible weapons scanning. Earth from orbit, in Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Reeves stood silently at the front of the room. She watched the tactical screens as the Verlax Armada filled Earth's orbital space. Her officers waited for orders, their hands trembling, sweat running down their faces. None of them had slept in 2 days. Outside, the defense satellites floated. Quietly, shields active, gravity cannons primed, stealth drones circling like hawks in the upper atmosphere. But all of it felt small compared to the endless wall of alien ships hanging above Earth. Prometheus, the AI that managed Earth's defense net, spoke in a calm voice. "Admiral Verlax's command ships are deploying time dilation fields." Reaction: "Times are dropping by 25%. Reeves clenched her jaw. This was the worst part of fighting the Verlax. Their ships weren't just faster, they could manipulate time itself. Earth's best weapons were slowed. Human reaction speed dropped. Signals lagged. It was like fighting underwater while the enemy moved freely in the air. Every human soldier knew the feeling. No matter how fast you thought you were, the Verlax would always be faster. But Reeves had planned for this. "Activate counterclock." "Units," she ordered. All across orbit, human satellites fired quantum anchors into the vacuum of space. These anchors created tiny bubbles of temporal stability, zones where time stayed normal. Inside these zones, Earth's weapon systems operated at full speed. It wasn't perfect, there were gaps, and the Verlax could still adapt, but it was enough to begin the first strike. The battle started in silence. No massive explosions, no dramatic laser beams, just streams of invisible particles racing through space. Earth's stealth drones moved first, launching thousands of gravity spikes toward the Verlax fleet. The spikes bent space as they passed, smashing into enemy ships with crushing force. Verlax shields deflected most of them, but a few enemy cruisers cracked open, spilling strange silver liquids into space Verlax. Biological parts mixed with machine cores. The Verlax responded instantly. Their null-wave beams activated, slicing through orbit like threads of red light. Earth's defense platforms dodged as best they could, but some were hit. Tire stations vanished in a blink, not exploded but erased, as if they had never existed. On the ground, people watched the sky turn darker. The red wave was now visible to the naked eye. Citizens in every country stood outside, staring upward. They knew they couldn't run. They couldn't hide. But they refused to look away. In orbit, human ships pushed forward. Project Aegis, Earth's shield network, held strong at first. Its invisible walls of energy bent Verlax attacks, reflecting some beams back into space. Earth's gravity lattice cannons fired, sending pulses that knocked enemy fighters into each other. But the Verlax were not ordinary enemies. Their ships were biomechanical organisms, learning in real time, adjusting to human tactics with terrifying speed. Prometheus sent constant updates to Admiral Reeves. Admiral Verlax fleets have adapted to gravity pulses, switching to particle disruption mode. Reeves nodded, sweat running down her temple. Do it. Earth's orbital cannons shifted tactics, firing streams of plasma-charged nanites. The nanites chewed into Verlax hulls, dissolving armor at the molecular level. For the first time, Earth scored real victories. Several Verlax carriers exploded in silent bursts of red vapor. But there were so many more ships waiting behind them. For every enemy destroyed, 10 more filled the gap. Then came the worst news. Admiral Prometheus warned, the null-wave core is powering up. Estimated 30 minutes to activation. Reeves felt her heart twist. The null-wave wasn't just a weapon. It was a genetic eraser. Once it activated, Earth's DNA would be wiped from the universe. The Verlax weren't trying to win a war, they were trying to delete an entire species. There was only one chance left. The Ghost Car, far beyond Earth's orbit. Inside the heart of the Verlax fleet, Captain Mira Chen led her team through the shadows. The Ghost Arcs were stealth vessels, invisible to most sensors, built for missions like this impossible missions. Their goal was to locate the Verlax High Mind, the AI core that controlled the fleet's neural net. If they could destroy or disable it, the entire Verlax armada might collapse. Inside the lead Ghost Arc, Chen's team hacked into Verlax data streams, listening to alien frequencies. They wore neural helmets, translating alien code into human language. Chen whispered to her squad, "I've found it. The High Mind is located in Dyson Node 7, inside the fleet's primary nexus." They had to move fast. The null wave activation meant there was no time for mistakes. Chen's team launched disruption nodes, tiny black devices, no larger than insects. The nodes slipped onto Verlax ships, feeding false data into the neural net. Verlax formations began to drift out of sync. Some ships fired at the wrong targets, others spun in confused circles. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Verlax fleet GL, on Earth, Prometheus noticed the change instantly. Admiral Verlax command structures are destabilizing. Reeves smiled grimly. Good. Prepare the Genesis protocol. Deep. Underground scientists activated the massive energy cores. The Genesis protocol was ready, but it was unstable. If triggered too early, it could destroy the solar system. If triggered too late, humanity would be gone. Chun's team reached the Verlax High Mind location. What they found shocked them. The High Mind wasn't just a machine. It was a living creature, a massive brain-like organism wrapped in machinery, pulsing with alien thoughts. Its veins were made of data streams. Its thoughts spread across the entire fleet. Destroying it might save Earth, but it could also kill. Billions of Verlax biologicals trapped in the system. Chen sent a final message to Earth. We're in position. But you need to understand, this isn't just the High Mind is half organic. If we kill it, the Verlax may collapse completely. Admiral Reeves stared at the message. She had to make the decision. Save Earth and risk destroying an entire species, or hesitate and watch humanity be erased. There is no time left. She whispered one word. Do it. Captain Chen and her team planted the quantum pulse bombs, set the timers, and activated the triggers. A silent explosion raced through the Verlax neural net, severing the connection between ships, cutting off command systems. Across orbit, Verlax vessels froze in place, weapons deactivating, formations breaking apart. At the same moment, the Genesis protocol fired. A ripple of energy spread from Earth's defense core, folding space-time, neutralizing the Verlax time, weapons, and freezing null wave activation for the first time in the battle. Earth had the advantage. The Verlax fleet began to fall apart, and for the first time in galactic history, the machines of Empire stopped moving. When the Verlax high mind collapsed, the galaxy felt it. It wasn't just Earth's orbit where the battle stopped, it was everywhere. Across star systems light years away, in cold, dark prisons and slave worlds hidden beneath gas giants, the Verlax command signals flickered and then vanished. For 10,000 years, those signals had controlled the galaxy's enslaved species like invisible chains, forcing entire civilizations to obey commands without question. But now those chains snapped in an instant in the underground mining camps. Of Valerian 4, the slave collars shut down without warning. Miners, some of them working since birth, looked at each other in shock, realizing the signals in their brains were gone. On Drava 9, factories stopped humming, and the walls of the genetic labs unlocked for the first time in centuries. The Dravari workers, who had been forced to operate cloning vats for the Verlax Empire, stepped outside into open air, blinking against real sunlight. All across the galaxy, similar moments happened. Had never felt before, freedom. For a long time, they didn't believe it was real. They thought maybe it was a trap, a new kind of control. But the minutes passed, then hours. Still, the Verlax systems stayed silent. On Earth, Admiral Reeves received reports from rebel networks. Messages came in from every corner of the galaxy. Some were sent in human languages, others in strange, alien tongues, but they all said the same thing. The Verlax grip was broken. In orbit, the Verlax fleet drifted silently. Without the high mind, the ships no longer moved as one. Some floated dead in space, others spiraled away, uncontrolled. Human drones scanned the wreckage, sending data back to Earth's Defense Command. Most of the Verlax ships were part organic, part machine. Now, without the neural net, their biological parts were waking up on their own. And that's when humanity learned the most terrifying secret of all. Inside the Verlax ships, beneath layers of metal and AI, were living prisoners, the minds and genetic material of millions of species the Verlax had absorbed over the millennia. The Verlax weren't just conquerors. They were harvesters of life, fusing themselves with the DNA and neural patterns of other species to maintain their existence. Without constant fresh tribute, their system had been failing, so they had taken minds and bodies directly, trapping them in the core of their fleet. Now those trapped consciousnesses were waking up. Earth scientists monitored the signals. Some of the awakening minds were terrified, some were angry, but most were confused, having spent centuries locked in Verlax systems with no sense of time. They didn't know what year it was, or what had happened. Many didn't even know they were still alive. Admiral Reeves made a decision. Instead of treating these beings as enemies, she sent teams to free them. Human rescue missions boarded Verlax ships, cutting through the biometal walls, releasing prisoners from their containment units. Some of the rescued looked human, others didn't. Some were pure energy, trapped in data forms. Others had strange bodies shaped by Verlax experiments, but they were all alive, and they were all victims of Empire. The galaxy responded to Earth's actions faster than anyone expected. The oppressed species didn't just watch, they started to fight back. On Thraxis, the underwater scientists who had been forced to design new tribute technologies overthrew their supervisors and sent a message of alliance to Earth. On Urax 3, where genetic farming had been standard for 1,000 years, rebel groups destroyed the Verlax gene vats and freed their own populations from lab prisons. Even on Verlax subcolonies hidden in asteroid belts and black hole orbits, smaller species took control of weapons factories and starship docks. The rebellion spread like wildfire, Earth became the center of it.
Wow.
Every day, more messages arrived. From new allies, some wanted to fight, some wanted to trade. Some simply wanted to learn how Earth had done it, how a single species had looked at the galactic rulers and said no. In the middle of all this, Captain Mira Chen and her Ghost Ark team sent one final report from the Verlax High Mind Chamber. The quantum pulse bombs had worked, but the collapse of the neural net had left something behind, a part of the High Mind's memory still remained, buried deep in backup cores. Chen's team accessed fragments of it and found a horrifying truth. The Verlax hadn't just been controlling the galaxy, A had been hiding something. In the oldest records, Chen's team discovered files that described an ancient event the galaxy had forgotten. Long before the Verlax, there had been another empire, older and more dangerous, called the Architects. According to the data, the Verlax weren't originally the rulers of the galaxy. They had been the servants of the Architects, designed to manage tribute, gather species, and maintain balance. But when the Architects vanished for reasons unknown, the Verlax took control of the systems they were meant to serve. Even worse. The data hinted at something still hidden beyond the edge of known space, something the Verlax had been protecting the galaxy from, even while enslaving it. Chen's message ended with a warning. Earth has started a fire, Admiral. The rebellion is here. But we may have also removed the last barrier between the galaxy and something much older, and much worse. Admiral Reeves read the report in silence. Her mind stayed sharp, but her stomach twisted. She knew the risk was real. Sometimes when you break a chain, you don't just free the prisoner, you also open the door to things locked away for a reason. Still, the present moment was clear. Earth had done what no species had ever done before. They had stood up to the most powerful empire in the galaxy, and they had won, at least for now. Reeves broadcast a message across the stars. Her words were translated into 100 languages, carried on frequencies both known and secret. This is Earth. We are not your rulers. We don't demand tribute. We only ask this. Stand together. Build something better. The message was simple, but it echoed across. Thousands of systems repeated by new free worlds everywhere. For the first time in history, the galaxy had no emperor, no overseer, no tribute. The spark of rebellion had become a flame. But in the cold corners of space, something ancient stirred, something that had waited in silence for 10,000 years. Watching through hidden sensors, waiting for the moment when the Verlax would fall, and now that moment had come. In the hours after the Verlax fell, the galaxy entered a strange silence. It wasn't peace. It wasn't celebration. It was the quiet of something massive breaking apart, the sound of a machine stopping after running for 10,000 years. All across space, Verlax ships drifted without orders. On enslaved worlds, ancient factories shut down. Tribute systems stopped counting. The command networks that had ruled 500,000 species went dark. But deep in the hidden sectors near the galactic core, something else happened. Something no one on Earth had fully understood yet. The Architect locks disengaged. For thousands of years, the Verlax High Mind had controlled massive security systems placed long ago by their creators, the Architects. These locks weren't just meant to manage tribute. They were designed to keep something hidden at the heart of the galaxy. Some thought it was a weapon. Others believed it was a vault containing forbidden technology. But the truth was far worse, as the Ghost Ark teams decrypted more of the Verlax core memory. They discovered the final files the Verlax had tried to protect, even while enslaving the galaxy. The Architects had not disappeared. They had sealed themselves away deep in a singularity. Core near the center of the galaxy, in a region of space wrapped in folded dimensions, the Verlax had been left behind to control the galaxy while keeping the core sealed. It wasn't about tribute. It was about containment. Admiral Reeves read the data in the Earth Defense Command Room, her face expressionless, but her mind racing. The Verlax had been brutal, but maybe they had also been guards, forced by programming to manage life forms, while keeping something worse locked away. And now, with the Verlax High Mind destroyed, those ancient locks had failed. Earth's sensors picked up the first signs of the change within hours. From deep space near the galactic core, Strange energy waves began pulsing outward. Telescopes showed distortions in the fabric of reality itself, gravitational echoes, like ripples in glass. Planets near the core started to blink in and out. Of normal space, their signals scrambled, their shapes twisting. It wasn't just energy, it was something alive. Prometheus, Earth's defense AI, ran simulations and reported to Reeves in a flat tone. Admiral, unknown signals are rising from core sectors. The Verlax referred to it as the return of the architects. Reeves leaned forward, her hands cold but steady. Define the risk. Prometheus answered without hesitation. Existential. Probability of species-level extinction event has risen to 83.7%. Potential for galactic-wide dimensional collapse is high if the core entities awaken fully. The officers in the room looked at Reeves, waiting for orders. No one spoke. No one wanted to be the first to admit what they all knew. Earth had started a rebellion, and won. But they might have just woken up the very beings the Verlax were, designed to keep asleep, and now the architect core was breaking open across the galaxy. The newly freed species celebrated for a few short hours before the news spread. The core was falling. The architects, or something worse, were stirring in the deep ocean cities of Theraxis. Scientists detected waves of dark resonance energy patterns older than time itself. On Valerian 4, miners who had just thrown off their Verlax masters now saw the sky ripple like water, as if the stars were changing shape. Even on the rebel outposts in the outer systems, time itself seemed to shift. Clocks running too fast or too slow as the core's energy spread, Admiral Reeves called for a galactic emergency council, the first of its kind. Through secret channels and open broadcasts, she gathered representatives from hundreds of species. Some still distrusted Earth, but most listened. The message was clear. The galaxy was facing something much larger than the fall of an empire. This is not about tribute anymore, Reeves said, her voice steady across the hollow screens. This is about survival. The rebel leaders listened as Earth's scientists showed the data. The core wasn't just releasing energy. It was sending signals, strange. Ancient codes that no one could fully translate. But one word appeared again and again in the data streams. Recalibration. Prometheus explained the meaning. The architects had once controlled the structure of life itself in the galaxy. Planets, species, genetic codes, all carefully managed. But when they sealed themselves away, they left the Verlax in charge to maintain balance. Now that the Verlax were gone, architect systems were preparing to reset everything. That meant not just wiping out humans, but rewriting the entire galactic biosphere, starting from zero. Admiral Reeves made a choice. Earth would not run. They would not surrender. They had already said no to the Verlax. Now, they would have to say no to something even bigger. Earth's ghost arcs, already deep in space, changed course. Their new mission was to reach the core breach and find out exactly what the architects had left behind. Some thought it was a machine. Others believed it was a life form. Some said it was both. Captain Myra Chen led the first team into the core breach zone. As her ship approached, reality bent around them. Stars became spirals of energy, time loops, flashed and faded. Her crew saw strange visions, alternate versions of themselves. Planets rising and falling in seconds, ancient species blinking in and out of existence. But Chen stayed focused. She pushed her ghost arc forward, navigating through dimensional folds, till they reached the center of the breach. What they found wasn't what anyone expected. At the heart of the galactic core was the seed. A massive, living construct pulsing with unknown energy. It wasn't just a machine, it was the blueprint of life itself, stored in a giant biomechanical shell. This was how the architects had controlled evolution across the galaxy for millions of years. The seed could reset DNA, adjust planetary life cycles, and rebuild ecosystems from scratch. It was the tool of universal control, and now it was rebooting, Captain. Chen sent a final message to Earth before communications failed. Her voice was calm, but her words were heavy. We have found the seed, Admiral. It's starting the recalibration. If we don't stop it, Everything we know, every species, every planet will be rewritten. We have maybe hours left. Back on Earth, Reeves listened to the message and made her decision. The rebellion had freed the galaxy from the Verlax. But that was just the first step. Now they faced a deeper battle, not for freedom, but for the right to exist without being controlled by ancient systems. We stopped the Empire, Reeves whispered, staring at the star maps. Now we have to stop the architects. Outside, the sky was quiet again, but no one on Earth felt calm. The real war for the future of the galaxy was just beginning. In the cold silence beyond the galactic core, the seed began to pulse faster. Its surface wasn't metal or flesh, but something in between, living circuits flowing with patterns of light. Each pulse sent waves of recalibration energy into the surrounding systems, rewriting the very fabric of reality. Stars flickered. Planets shifted in orbit. Life codes twisted in real time, as if evolution itself were being reset. Captain Myra Chen floated near the seed in her ghost arc, eyes locked. On the data streaming across her visor, she could feel time stretching and collapsing around her, but she forced herself to stay focused. Her team sent probes into the seed's outer layers, but they dissolved instantly, absorbed into the system. The seed wasn't just a machine, it was an automated god, built to manage life across the galaxy, and now it was waking up after 10,000 years of silence. Back on Earth, Admiral Reeves watched the reports in the Defense Command Center. The global screen showed terrifying changes. On some worlds, plants mutated into strange new forms overnight. On others, entire oceans disappeared, replaced by alien materials that had no name. Even Earth itself wasn't safe. In Antarctica, glaciers cracked open, revealing life forms that had never evolved naturally. New genetic codes appeared in Earth's biosphere, slowly rewriting the planet's biology. Prometheus. Earth's defense AI delivered the facts with cold logic. The seed is initiating recalibration protocol Phase 1. If left unchecked, this will lead to Phase 2. Galactic rewrite. All existing life will be reorganized based on architect designs. Probability of human survival, 0.4%. Reeves stood still, her eyes sharp. Options. Prometheus responded, no known weapon can destroy the seed. Its material is not based on standard matter. Systems operate in quantum branch reality, protected by multidimensional encryption. That meant Earth's weapons couldn't touch it. Not lasers, not nukes, not the Genesis protocol. The seed wasn't just outside of Earth's technology. It was outside of Earth's physics. But there was one hope. Inside the Verlax core data files. Buried in corrupted memory sectors, Earth scientists had found an ancient coda master. Override, written in architect language. The code wasn't complete, but it contained references to a key, a biological access point. A signal that could stop the recalibration before Phase 2 began. The problem was, no one knew where this key was or if it still existed. Then came a message from Captain Chen at the core breach. We found something, she reported. Her voice was quiet, but steady. It's not a weapon. It's a biological failsafe. Built into the seed, the architects designed it to be triggered only by independent life forms that had reached full galactic awareness. Reeves frowned. What does that mean? Chen explained. It means the seed will stop if it detects a species that has evolved beyond empire. Control species that have chosen freedom over domination. The architects wanted life to break free eventually. They never expected anyone to actually do it. Reeves took a deep breath. So when we said no to the Verlax, that wasn't just rebellion, that was the test. Chen nodded through the holofeed. We passed the first part. But the seed doesn't recognize us yet. Sensors still think the galaxy is under Empire control. We need to send a signal that tells the seed we're ready to evolve without the architects. Prometheus ran simulations. Probability of success increases if multiple species send the signal together. Single voice won't be enough. The galaxy must speak as one. Reeves contacted the rebel networks. Within hours, messages went out to thousands of systems. Calls for unity, for alliance not just against the Verlax, but against the idea of control itself. Across hundreds of planets, leaders and ordinary people responded. Don Valerian 4, miners who had just tasted freedom gathered in unity circles, sending their genetic and cultural signatures through space. On Theraxis, underwater scientists transmitted codes of independence, rejecting the tribute systems forever. On Dravenine, the genetic engineers rebuilt their planetary core code, sending a message that they would never be part of any empire again. Earth did the same. From the streets of New York to the deserts of Africa, from orbital stations to deep-sea bases, humanity joined the galactic signal. Children recorded messages of hope. Soldiers broadcast their commitment to peace. Scientists sent their discoveries openly, refusing to keep knowledge locked away anymore. The message was simple but powerful. We are free. Choose life without control. The signal reached the seed. Inside the core, Captain Chen watched as the seed's outer layers shifted. Strange symbols appeared on its surface, glowing like ancient constellations. The seed paused its recalibration for the first time since activation. The tendrils of energy stopped reaching into new planets. Its pulses slowed. Then came a response. A voice not in words, but in pure thought entered Chen's mind. Then, spread to Admiral Reeves and every species that had sent the signal. The voice was massive, ancient, yet gentle. It spoke across all languages, across all neural patterns, across time itself. Acknowledged. The test phase is complete. Control. Systems are no longer required. The seed released a final pulse, not a destructive one, but a stabilizing wave. Planets stopped shifting. Evolutionary paths were locked in place. Life was left as it was, free to grow without empire programming or forced design. The recalibration. Protocol shut down. In the Defense Command Center on Earth, the tension broke. Officers hugged each other, some cried, others simply stood in shock, realizing they had just helped save not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. Admiral Reeves stayed quiet for a moment. She looked at the star maps on the screen. The vast galactic spiral now calm again. The rebellion had started as a refusal to kneel, but it had become something bigger, a signal to the universe that life could grow on its own terms. Without tribute, without empires, without ancient systems, guiding every step. Prometheus spoke one last time. Admiral, the seed is entering standby mode. It will observe but not interfere. The galaxy is now fully autonomous for the first time in known history. Captain Chen and her team returned from the core breach. Their ship was damaged but intact. The crew carried with them the final codes, proof of what had happened, and the knowledge that they had witnessed the most important moment in galactic evolution. Reeves sent one last message to all allied worlds. This is Earth. The galaxy is yours now. There are no more rulers. There are no more locks. What you build next will be by your choice, not by fear, not by force. The age of control is over. And with that, the galaxy entered a new era, one where life was finally free to write its own story. But far beyond the seed, in the silent dark spaces between galaxies, other watchers still waited. Some friendly, some not. The next chapter of existence was beginning, and no one knew what challenges would come next. But for now, there was peace. The galaxy drifted in silence after the seed shut down. No one was giving orders anymore. No one demanded tribute. There were no more high minds, no more empire fleets, no ancient AI whispering commands into neural links. For the first time in known history, the galaxy belonged to its people, not to the Verlax, not to the architects, not to any single power. It was a new era, and no one knew exactly what to do next. On Earth, Admiral Reeves stood alone in the observation deck of the Defense Command Tower. She watched the Earth rotate below, her a blue planet glowing softly in the darkness of space. For years, humanity had prepared for destruction. They had trained for war, built weapons, and imagined their own extinction. But now, with the Verlax gone and the recalibration protocol stopped, humanity faced something they had never planned. 4. Freedom on a galactic scale. Prometheus, the defense AI, broke the silence. with a soft voice. "Admiral, messages are coming in from across the galaxy. New alliances are forming. Trade offers, cultural exchanges, scientific partnerships." Reeves listened quietly as the reports flooded in. On Valerian 4, the miners who once lived under Empire control had started building new cities, designed by the people, not by distant rulers. On Thraxis, the underwater scientists opened their tech libraries to all free species, promising never to sell knowledge for power again. On Dravenine, genetic researchers shared medical breakthroughs that had been hidden for centuries. Diseases that had plagued whole populations were cured overnight because no one was hoarding the solutions anymore. Everywhere, new systems began. To grow systems based not on empire, but on choice. But peace was not automatic. The galaxy wasn't a perfect place just because the seed had stopped. Old wounds took time to heal. Some species struggled with trust after being enslaved for so long. Others feared that without control, chaos would follow. Small conflicts still flared up in distant sectors, but for the first time, they were settled by talks instead of weapons. The idea of negotiation was spreading faster than any army ever had. Captain Mira Chen and her Ghost Ark team returned to Earth as heroes. But they didn't stop working. Chen led a new mission force called the Continuum, a group designed to protect free species from future threats, not through control, but through cooperation. Her team helped build the first Galactic Accord network, a communication web that let thousands of worlds talk openly without fear of censorship or punishment. Earth wasn't trying to rule the galaxy. They were trying to help everyone share it. The seed stayed in place at the galactic core, but it no longer sent out recalibration signals. It had entered what Prometheus called observer mode, recording life's progress, but no longer interfering. Some scientists feared the seed might wake up again one day, but for now, it remained silent, like a god that had decided to stop playing the game. Admiral Reeves gave up her military rank after the war. She didn't want to be a ruler. She became an ambassador instead, traveling between worlds, helping new governments form without oppression. She sat in rooms where once enslaved species debated laws for the first time in their history. She watched civilizations discover their own voices, and Earth itself changed. No longer isolated, humans opened their culture to the stars. Trade routes expanded. Art from alien worlds filled Earth's galleries. New technologies arrived: clean energy systems, advanced medicine, and faster-than-light communication. But humanity gave as much as they received. They shared their own ideas, their own stories, their own stubborn will to survive. The word no, once shouted in defiance, became a symbol across the stars, not of anger, but of strength. It meant no to empire, no to forced control, no to systems that crushed free thought. On banners, on murals, on broadcasts, the symbol appeared everywhere: a simple, powerful reminder that life could refuse to kneel. But beyond the borders of the known galaxy, mysteries remained. Some explorers reached into deep space, finding remnants of even older civilizations beyond the architects. Strange ruins floated in the void, left by beings no one could identify. Signals came from other galaxies, coded in patterns no one could translate. Some believed the galaxy was only at the beginning of its true history, in the dark sectors between galaxies. Silent watchers continued to observe. No one knew if they were friends or enemies. Some were curious, some were cautious, but for now, they stayed quiet, expecting the galaxy's new chapter. Captain Chen often thought about that as she looked out from her new base on the edge of the Milky Way. She knew that freedom wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of something bigger. Without the architects controlling evolution, without the Verlax harvesting species, the galaxy could grow in any direction. That was both exciting and terrifying. Mistakes would be made. But now those choices would be made by free minds, not by ancient programming. One night, as Earth's orbit spun beneath her, Admiral Reeves sent one last private message to Prometheus, the AI that had helped her through it all. "Are we ready for this?" she asked, half-smiling. Prometheus answered after a pause. "Readiness is no longer the correct question. The galaxy is not being managed anymore. It is being lived. Reeves watched the stars, thinking of how far they had come. From the first moment the Verlax demanded tribute, to the final confrontation at the core, humanity had refused to bow. They had chosen freedom, knowing the risks. And now, they had helped create a galaxy where every species had that same choice. The seed slept. The architects were gone. The Verlax were history, and in their place stood something new. A galaxy reborn not by design, but by decision. Life would go on. Its path was unwritten, and that was exactly how it should be.